Hello students and everyone, I am Nisha Malhotra, your educator. I am just going to teach you today the income tax and act about the concept, about everything. Okay, let's start with income tax. First of all, we know that we all earn money and we have for rendering the services to the other people, salaries, income and all that. So we survive by this, the income. Every person who earn money have to pay income tax to the government. Anything like salary, business earn the profit, they have to pay income tax. Let us start that when did this income tax term started? I mean the foundations. Okay. First of all, in 1860. 1860, James Wilson start or implemented the Income Tax Act. We want to know that was the condition by which James Wilson started this income tax. The war, revolt of 1857 led the very problem for the British government, and the British government want to overcome these losses or these revenues, the expenses. Okay, so British government by James Wilson, the first income tax 1860 was started. Okay, let's talk about the history. Okay. This is one of the implementation of the income tax. Income tax also have started by Manusmriti or Arthashastra. So after independence, you know what? There were so many changes in income tax from 1857 to 1956. In 1956, the Indian government, when the India get independence, the Indian government request to implement income tax, and that after in 1956. The commissions, the tax commission or tax committee was formed under Mahavir Tyagi. In 1958, this Mahavir Tyagi submitted its report and Direct Tax Administrative Inquiry under Administrative Inquiry 1961 Income Tax Act. After that it is formed. Income Tax Act was formed. So 1961 Act, the Income Tax Act was formed. And the rules regarding the income tax rules regarding all the rules was implemented in year 1962. The date is from 1st April. So we can conclude that these, like income tax, it means when person earn money, they have to pay the tax to the government, and it is called the income tax. It is started by James Wilson in 1860s, to overcome the expenses of revolt of 1857, the British implement the income tax. We have seen the income tax foundation in Manusmriti and in Arthashastra. In 1956, the income tax commissions was formed under Mahavir Tyagi, Sri Mahavir Tyagi in 1958, and he submitted its report under Direct Tax Administrative Inquiry, and the income tax formed in 1961, and the rules regarding income tax is stated in 1962, which was implemented after 1962 first April. Okay. Let's start another thing, that income tax act was formed in 1961 and incorporated. It is incorporated in India. Before the 370 Act that is implemented in Jammu and Kashmir, it is applicable all over India except Jammu and Kashmir. But this in 2019, after this act was abolished, the Income Tax Act 1961 was implemented in whole India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Let's talk about another thing, types of income tax. We know that there are two types of income tax. It is very easy. It's called direct tax and indirect tax. Indirect tax. The direct tax included income tax, wealth tax, and gift tax. But this one is abolished and is directly shifted into income tax. Means any wealth tax and gift tax is now transferred to income tax. It's computed under income tax. So let's talk about indirect taxes. First of all, it's goods tax for goods and for services. So for goods tax, it is. For service, it's a service tax. And for goods, it is CST. That is called Central State Tax. Another is VAT, value added taxes. Then excise duty. Another is custom tax. Custom duty for custom duty for export and import. This was completely done, and these it's also list, and under this the GST have come. GST, that is 2017 came in July. Just take a look onto that. Income Tax Act is 1961, incorporated in India. Before, it is not applicable under Jammu and Kashmir under the Act of 370. But now, when 370 Act was ended, it is applicable to whole India. Now, let's talk about the types of income tax. So, direct tax, indirect tax. First of all, it is income tax, wealth tax and gift tax. Now, the wealth and gift tax were ended and merged into, included into income tax. Indirect tax is subdivided into two, that is goods and service tax. The under service, it is a service tax. Goods, it's CST, that is called Central State Tax. VAT, excise duty, custom duty for export and import. Now the CST, VAT, excise duty were ended, and in that place the GST 2017 Act were kept for the goods and services. Okay. Let's talk about something. Another thing. The direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax, when it is paid to the government directly by the people, it directly paid to the government by the people. Understood? And indirect tax is indirectly paid to the government by the people for consuming the commodity. I mean by consuming the commodity. Of course, by this we know it is not shifted to other people. Means the person who earns the income has to pay direct tax, and in indirect tax it can be shifted to other. It means who the person is consuming the goods have to pay the CGST, I mean GST, and the custom. The example of these are indirect tax. Sorry for that. It's income tax, corporate tax, etc. Indirect tax, the example is GST, that is goods and services tax, and custom duty for export and import. Okay, next talk about something that is the benefit. The direct tax is uses for the socio-economic benefits. Means the government earns the tax and uses it for social economic benefit, social welfare, the public welfare, the people who are not able to cope up their regular needs. The government should provide through the direct tax. I mean the income from direct tax. And for indirect tax, the indirect tax is uses by government for revenue generation. For infrastructure, for capital formation, etc. etc. Let's talk about the summary. The direct income tax further divided into direct tax or indirect tax. The direct tax which is paid to the government by the people directly, it is not shifted to other people. Income tax, corporate tax, and etc. are the examples of these indirect taxes. It is used, means the amount of income through direct taxes is used by a government for social economical benefit, and indirect tax is indirectly paid to the government by the people for consuming the commodity. Of course, it can be shifted to other person wherever the person who is using it. The example is GST, that is goods and services taxes, custom duty for export and import, and it is used the indirect tax revenue, amount or an income is used for the income revenue generation, for the infrastructure, for the capital formation, etc. Okay, next talk about some sections. About section, I'm not talking about this class, this whole sections, but to understand the sections and subsections. In every rules and regulations in income tax, it has, for example, it's 3A, 1A, B, para. For example, what this denote? The first three, I mean the numbers, shows the section. This one show the subsection. This is for clause. This is for subclause. This is para, and again it has, if it is, then it is subpara. On next class, we in this class we have concluded the concept of income tax, the normal concept. I mean about the definition, about the foundations, I mean formed, and direct and types of tax. And next class we will conclude the thing, that is computations of income tax, person means, what is the difference between person, assessee, who are liable to pay tax, who is resident, what is the difference between the resident and the citizens, of course. And next, PAN. Okay, so we will proceed these things and more of these things on income tax classes in the next session. Thank you very much.